forget that. Just unbelievable respect for both men. I could not be prouder of Conor Benn for what he's been through and the heart that he showed in the ring tonight. You know, Nigel Benn was the people's champion. Tonight, Conor Benn become the people's champion.
It surprised me. I didn't know he had what he had in him. I really didn't. I thought I would break him early. I underestimated him. You know, I didn't train for a fight like that. You know, I didn't know he had that in him.
How do you feel, Senior?
Extraordinary performance. And I give credit to Conor Benn because let me tell you what, I was always right. What did I say to you? He's an extraordinary fighter, but the promoters are bringing him up, which is spoiling his weight at 147. What did I say? I've been saying it for what, 2 years? That man can go across to the United States and actually tear it up. And you saw that. You saw that. Junior is too big a man. These weights that they are flouting is, you know, they're destroying the fighters.
No, good fight, good fight. You don't want nothing more as a boxing fan. That was fantastic. Enjoyed every second of it. Good fight. Happy.
What did you think of Eubank's performance? Do you think he won the fight?
Yeah, I think he won the fight. It's a good fight though. Really close, really close. Everything was. I think it's a good fight.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think Eubank should do, or do you think they should run it back, Fraser?
Of course, it's a business. They can run it back, man.
I saw my 100-metre sprint from Ben Whittaker, so I promised myself I'd keep it calm tonight, but I couldn't be more happy, more proud. Look, I have to be honest, I was shocked. I was shocked at what an unbelievable fight it was. I was shocked at how good Conor Benn was. I'm okay to say that. I think Eubank Jr got the shock of his life in those early rounds. And then he just came on strong, dug deep and showed his class, and those last 2 rounds were phenomenal. But unbelievable fight, and an unbelievable night, and great for Senior to be here as well.
How did you score it, Ben?
Probably 3 or 4 rounds in Junior's favour, but as I say, I think those last 2 rounds were really what took Junior far ahead. I think it was nip and tuck up into that. Look, for me, Junior should be winning in more devastating fashion, in my opinion. But Conor Benn was phenomenal. I look, maybe I've underestimated Conor Benn. I did not expect it to be like that. I thought he was really, really good. I thought Chris had to end up being really, really good, and we just saw a phenomenal fight. I mean, for any boxing fan watching that for the first time, what do you think? You see Eubank, you see Ben, you see Chris Senior, you see the emotion, you see the family ties, and then you get to see a 12-round unbelievable fight. It's the greatest advert for British boxing we've had in a long time.
I thought it was very exciting. Conor Benn definitely in the welterweight division is going to be a force to reckon with. I'd love to see him fight Boots. It'd be a great welterweight fight, or maybe Teofimo move up to 47, which is, you know, obviously his natural weight for Conor and Chris Eubank. The future's bright for both guys. It was such a great fight.
What did you think of the scorecards?
I could see it being scored that way. I might have had it closer. I didn't write my scores down. Very good first 4 or 5 rounds for Conor, and then size does make a difference, as they say. You could see that happening, especially the last 2-3 rounds.
Good fight. I think the fans were in for a treat. They both spoke it. I mean, before the fight, and they lived up to it. Yeah, I had Eubank winning. I know you're going to ask me, who did you think? I think Eubank won it. So, yeah.
Do you think either man had any other man hurt at any point?
Yeah, they both hurt each other. You know, you don't really get to see it when you're watching it on TV sometimes. When you're sitting ringside, you do see these little things. And yeah, that's definitely one of the things I saw.
Do you think you want to see a rematch?
What, between them two?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. It was 12 rounds back and forth. It was interesting. I think Turkey said he was in Tottenham Stadium here in September.
Right.
That's not going to happen, or the season started at that time, so but it's going to be interesting to see how it turns out.
Did that fight live up to expectation?
Yes, it did, but I believe it's a draw. Both fighters, nobody needs to lose today. It's a f***ing draw.
If you had to give it to someone, anyone edged it?
No. They f***ing worked hard in the gym, they trained hard, so f*** that, it's a draw.
I feel pretty good. I mean, I thought he fought again. I'm the type of guy, I pay homage to both fighters. I thought they both put their hearts on the line.
Yeah.
I thought they both gave everything they had. And if they could have gave more to the crowd, they would have gave more.
Yeah.
I think the biggest winner was Great Britain. Just my opinion. You got 2 native people put on a massive performance just for the hometown.
Yeah.
Like you don't get that all the time. That's a rare commodity that you can have. So
Yeah, for sure.
I think that this fight would be talked about for a very long time.
For sure.
You know, but I'm happy that we get to walk away with the victory, to answer your question.
Of course. Conor started a little bit faster. He was very energetic. Not sure whether that was nervous energy, etc., etc. Where do you think Chris played his part in the fight? Where were his better rounds from your opinion?
I think he met his he met him at his. Conor started fast.
Yeah.
Chris matched that.
Okay.
That was the difference in the whole fight. If Chris would have started slow, then the fight would have been totally lopsided.
Yeah.
But because Chris started right away. And a lot of people underestimate one thing when it comes to boxing. Your left hand is here for a reason. You may not knock guys out, but you damn sure can win rounds with it.
Yeah.
His left hand was key. He kept popping his jabs.
Yeah.
You know, and my teacher taught me very well, the late great Emmanuel Stewart, how to use the left hand. Left hand is the key piece. He taught Lennox. I'm sure everybody know who that is. and no one thought he would outbox Holyfield, but he did it. Just using his jab, perfecting his jab.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
You know, and it's all about the skill of the sport and not just the violence of it. And I thought he did a pretty good job tonight.
Unbelievable atmosphere, incredible fight. You know, the fight really ignited, and you know they both played their part in that. They both battled hard. Neither gave up, neither wanted to give in. The will they both showed was incredible, and Junior at 36 years old, he had to show his resolve there. He had to dig deep into the well and pull it out in the championship rounds. And I was impressed for him to be able to do that at 36 years old. It's impressive.
Better, a lot better, bro. A lot better. What a fight it was. Just massive props to Conor Benn, bro. He's a welterweight at the end of the day. He come up, great fight. I had it a draw personally. Yeah, I had it a draw. Very, very, very close fight. Done their fathers proud, done the boxing world proud, and brilliant, bro.
What were the key moments for Eubank? What do you think won him the fight?
I think it was the little bursts he kept doing at the end of the last 3 rounds, and I think the only thing that kind of played in his part was the experience. But then I keep saying that, but then I still had it a draw. But yeah, I think they should do it again.
If one was to win, who would you have given it to?
It's a bit of a hard one, that, but I'd have to pick Eubank, only because he pushed the pace. And like I said, that's due to experience. But yeah.
What a fight, lived up to the hype. Yeah, it was a great fight. What can I say? You know what I mean? I think Eubank did enough to win. But very competitive all the way through. On edge of your seat, it was good.
Were you impressed by Conor? Because ultimately he was the lighter fighter in there tonight.
Yeah, Eubanks is no Golovkin. You know what I mean? You could see the weight. He started to look tired, but Conor had that energy. Moving up the weight, he had more energy inside him. But equally matched. You know what I mean? It lived up to the hype, and they didn't let the fans down.
Is that how you scored it? 116, 112?
I don't know. I had him 2 rounds. I had him in the last couple. It were neck and neck, and then I had the last couple of rounds where he took it.
What do you think Conor would have to do different in a rematch?
I don't know. I think he would have learned loads from that fight. I would have liked him to start. In the smaller fight, use his jab more. More twitches, more feints. Worked a better game plan. But he didn't do much wrong. To be fair, he performed best to his ability.
Fight is finally done, and experts are weighing in on the Eubank Jr. versus Benn showdown. Here's what they had to say about the fight and its outcome. Before the fight, Conor Benn mentioned he thought Chris Eubank Jr. was somewhat of a fool, although he recognized that Eubank had his share of supporters. He felt that Eubank was just acting naturally and accepted that boxing benefited from bold characters like him. While Benn didn't believe he needed to be fond of Eubank, he respected the part Eubank played in the sport. When questioned about the possibility of mutual respect after their bout, Ben confessed he never truly despised him.
I personally think he's a bit of an idiot, but, you know, I don't know if I speak on behalf of the nation or, you know, he has a couple people that like him. I just think he is what he is. You know, you need personalities in the sport of boxing. He's definitely a personality. You need it. You need people like him in the game. Don't mean I have to like him.
Do you think that once it's all done and dusted, there will be a time where you'll think of each other fondly, you'll have that relationship, or is it too much hatred?
I actually changed my mind. I don't hate him. I just think he's an idiot.
On the other end, Chris Eubank Jr. expressed his sense of calm and preparation as the much-anticipated fight drew near. He pointed out that both he and Conor Benn brought speed, power, and drive to the ring, but stressed that his experience in high-profile events made him different. Eubank Jr. believed that his past of performing under heavy pressure gave him an advantage, an edge he felt Benn had not yet gained. In his opinion, that hard-earned experience could be the key that would shift the odds in his favor once the fight started.
Chris, how are you feeling ahead of a big fight on Saturday night?
I'm calm, I'm relaxed, I'm happy, I'm fresh. Everything is on track.
For yourself, you know, this is a standard procedure. You've been in big fights. This is Conor's big step up. For yourself as well, you say skills and power, etc., is a big advantage. How much is experience and experience of this big occasion a power for you, an advantage for yourself as well?
I think that is maybe the deciding factor of all this. You know, we both have speed, we both have power, we both are hungry to win. We both do not have the experience that I have. He hasn't got it. He hasn't earned it. He doesn't have experience against, you know, the type of fighter that I am on a stage like we are going to be fighting in. You know, I've fought in big arenas many times before in my career. He hasn't. Yeah. I think experience is going to be the deciding factor.
Moreover, Teddy Atlas predicts Chris Eubank Jr. will maintain distance with quick hands and sharp counterpunching, excelling when given room to maneuver. Conversely, Conor Benn will focus on closing the gap, restricting Eubank Jr.'s mobility and technical execution, making it harder for him to implement his strategy.
You know, Eubank's, you know, wants to probably keep it on the outside as much as he can and use his skill sets to, you know, use his hand speed and his ability to throw counter punches and, you know, punches from different angles. He needs space, or space accommodates him pretty well and favors him pretty well when he has that space to do that. And I would think that Ben would like to take that space away, you know, like to kind of work his way in. And
Teddy Atlas praised Eubank Jr.'s ability to maintain control at a distance, and Conor Benn's blend of aggression and discipline, highlighting the effectiveness of their fighting styles and the intriguing contrast between their approaches.
I like the ability of Eubanks when he's right, you know, when his focus is there, when he's right, to be able to do things in a boxing way on the outside. And I love Ben's style and his approach. I do, where, you know, being aggressive in a responsible way, you know, in a way a fighter should be, with paying attention to, you know, doing it with defense and responsibility of defense and, you know, just proper way to engage somebody, but the consistent offense, looking to, you know, to engage. I think it's an interesting...
Sam Jones said that he believed Conor Benn would win. He pointed out that Benn was very young and full of energy. He also mentioned that even though it took a lot for Eubank to recover after being badly knocked out by Liam Smith, Eubank still managed to come back and defeat Liam Smith.
I just think Conor Benn's going to win. Too young, too fresh, and although, listen, Eubank, it took a lot for him to come back after getting viciously knocked out by Liam Smith, to come back and beat Liam Smith.
Jones further said that the fight was happening at the right time for Conor Benn, and that he favored Conor Benn in the fight. He added that Chris Eubank Jr. was a good boxer, and noted that if he had been promoted by Frank Warren or Eddie Hearn when he turned pro, he would have been an even bigger star than he was at the time. Jones described Chris Eubank Jr. as funny, mild, and a good speaker, but he believed Conor Benn was going to chin him.
There's been a bit of a... I just think the fight's happening at the right time for Conor Benn. I think the fight's happening at the right time, and I favour Conor Benn in the fight.
Yeah.
I think Eubank Jr. is good for boxing. Genuinely, I think Chris Jr. is good for boxing. I think that if he was promoted by a Frank Warren or an Eddie Hearn back in the day when he turned pro, he would be an even bigger star than what he is now because of how he is. He's funny, like he's mildly, he's quite funny, isn't he, Eubank Jr? He speaks well, but yeah, I think he's good for boxing. But I just think Conor Benn's going to chin him.
Roy Jones Jr. recognized Ben's tough challenge against Eubank Jr., noting that a single left hook could have been his best shot at an upset. However, if Ben failed to hurt Eubank, the fight would likely have favored Eubank, who had improved significantly. Jones highlighted Eubank's growth, crediting their year of training together for making him a more formidable fighter.
Very tough fight for Conor. Not saying he can't win it because one big left hook could change anything. But to me, his best chance are to try to land a big shot. If that don't happen, or if he lands it and it don't hurt Chris, then it's gonna be really, pretty rough for him because Chris is definitely an improved fighter. You understand me? And like even the stuff he's doing now, he's gonna continue to get better. But I think when he came down there with me for that year, it improved his foundation.
Jones acknowledged Ben's strong will, particularly after Liam Smith's upset win, which could have fueled Ben's belief in a similar outcome. However, he pointed out that Eubank Jr.'s size and progress made him the likely favorite, despite the fight being competitive and entertaining. While he praised both fighters, Jones emphasized that Eubank Jr.'s physical edge would probably have tipped the balance in his favor.
He's gonna be hard to beat for anybody, especially a guy that's smaller than him. But we saw Liam Smith pull out the upset at one time. So I know that gave Ben much more hope that he could probably do the same. So it's going to be a great fight. Both fighters are great fighters. I love both of them. I think Chris is a little bigger and has the advantage because he's bigger.
Conor Benn emphasized that every fight he took was personal, not just against Chris Eubank Jr. He viewed threats to his livelihood and family as more than just business. Benn remained focused on stepping into the ring on Saturday night and completing the job, steering clear of trash talk and drama.
It's always personal. It's not just Chris. Every single one of my fights has been personal. If you're trying to take food off my table and out my kids' mouths, it's personal. It's never just business with me. It's always personal. I always got a chip on my shoulder about it. So, you know, come Saturday night, forget the egg slap, forget the names, forget the calling me this. It makes no difference. It makes no difference. You know, there ain't no aggression. I'm coming in there to do a job, and I'm coming in there to wipe him out.
Can we get a final message to Eubank Jr?
No, I ain't got no message. I ain't playing them games, you know what I mean? Just going to get there on Saturday and handle business. All the talking's done. All the media, it's all done. I'm just ready to get in there now and handle business.
Chris Eubank Jr. defended Conor Benn's system for containing illegal substances, stating that his reputation would be permanently damaged if he continued to cheat. He condemned Benn for denying his actions and argued that refusing to take responsibility only worsened the situation.
All I know is, regardless of how those illegal drugs were in his system, they were in there, which means that he is a cheat. He will forever be a cheat. There will be people, including myself, that will never forgive him, especially when he is doing everything in his power to try and deny the fact that he cheated.
Chris Eubank Jr. also shared that he was motivated by a deep desire to protect his father's legacy. He made it clear that he saw no path for his opponents to claim victory and felt a heavy responsibility to honor what his father had accomplished in boxing. Eubank Jr. emphasized that he would not let his father, himself, or his supporters down.
They cannot get a win over us. I have to respect my father's history, his legacy, what he achieved in his career. I can't let him down, I can't let myself down, and I can't let my fans down.
However, before the fight, Conor Benn confidently said that he was not a bad guy, but that Chris Eubank Jr. often got under his skin. He admitted that Eubank's behavior annoyed him so much that he could not help but respond, calling him out for what he viewed as childish antics.
Who's more of a bad guy, yourself or Chris Eubank Jr.?
I'm not a bad guy.
No.
Joe was funny.
That's what I get. I get that you're not a bad guy.
I'm not a bad guy.
But when you see Chris, you tend to get really annoyed, and I just think, what's up with you? What is it you don't like?
Why do I get annoyed?
Yeah, like you're pissed.
No, everyone gets annoyed.
And you're not a bad guy.
I'm definitely not a bad guy. I'm not how, I don't know what happens, but I'm definitely misunderstood. Yeah. I am definitely misunderstood. Because I'm not a bad guy at all.
Moreover, Barry McGuigan leaned toward Conor Benn, believing Eubank Jr.'s durability had been compromised after his knockout loss to Liam Smith. He recalled Eubank's once reliable chin, but suggested he hadn't fully recovered. McGuigan saw Benn as the faster, more explosive puncher, hitting harder than Smith. Though he admitted Eubank's size could still have played a role, he ultimately favored Benn, despite Eubank's toughness.
I think it was a great fight. I would pick Benn at the minute, simply because Eubank was cracked by Liam Smith, and he was never cracked before, and it's a summary for me. He had a great chin up to then, and then he was knocked out, and it's never quite the same again. I think Benn is a more explosive fighter than Liam Smith. He's faster. He punches hard, but then a good big one will always beat a good little one, all those cliches. But I just think I would give Benn the edge. But Eubank's tough.
Eddie Hearn backed the matchup between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr., insisting it was an evenly balanced contest between two top-tier fighters. He rejected notions of a mismatch, highlighting the legendary feud between their fathers. Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank Sr. Hearn also noted that the rivalry between the sons had become the most heated and hostile in British boxing at the time.
I don't know what the circus is and what you're a fool to buy into. It's a really good fight. It's a 50-50 fight between two guys that are world ranked in their division. I mean, he's making out like neither of them have ever boxed before. They're both useless. It's a mismatch. It's not. It's a 50-50 fight between two world ranked fighters who, by the way, fathers happen to be Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank, who had the biggest rivalry ever in British boxing, and, by the way, whose sons now have, by far, the biggest rivalry in British boxing, that is venomous, that is violent.
Carl Frampton favored Chris Eubank Jr. in a fight, but his performance would depend on his handling of the weight cut. He highlighted the 10-pound rehydration clause and Eubank's weight history, clarifying that he had been competing at 160 pounds. Frampton held off on a firm prediction, focusing on Eubank's physical appearance first.
I think Eubank is the favourite, and a lot of it depends on how he makes the weight and what he looks like on the scales, and the 10-pound rehydration clause is going to be difficult for him. I've been kind of criticised a wee bit because I've been saying he's been boxing at 168. He hasn't. He's been boxing at 160. But the point I was trying to make was he has boxed at 168. And as you get older, you normally go up the weight. You don't come down the weight. So he's it's hurting him now to do 160. And I need to see what he looked like on a scale before I make a prediction.
So what are your thoughts on this? Share your thoughts in the comments section and make sure to subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video.